knows the answer to that, right?
I'm not the Zoom master,
Oh,
but
I see it. Okay, we're good. Thank you. I'll stop being a Zoom person.
At the request of the mayor and with the approval of the City Council of Las Cruces, the following has been presented by Councilor Gil Sword. I hope.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today's proclamation is named Rabbi Larry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today's proclamation is named Rabbi Larry Karol Day. Rabbi Larry is a friend of mine, and so it's my honor to read this proclamation today. I was submitted by Ned Rubin, so I'm hoping he's listening. The proclamation reads, whereas Rabbi Karol has served as the teacher, scholarly educator, and spiritual leader of the Temple Beth-El in Las Cruces for nearly a decade. And whereas Rabbi Karol has been committed to serving the Temple Beth-El family and the Las Cruces community in civil.
Let me finish. Pretend I'm Gil Sword.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Whereas Rabbi, Gil, be quiet. Whereas Rabbi Karol has been committed to serving the Temple Beth-El family and the Las Cruces community in civil and community events, in both times of mourning and on joyous occasions. And whereas Rabbi Karol forged strong relationships in the interfaith community of Las Cruces, and whereas Rabbi Karol has been and will continue to be a staunch advocate for immigrant rights, fighting poverty, and for social justice, and whereas Rabbi Karol has immeasurably added to the richness and fullness of Jewish ritual through his musical composition and performance. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim Thursday, June 25th, 2020, as Rabbi Larry Karol.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I will be happy to present. Gil just can't get enough tonight. I'll be happy to present that to you as soon as we can see each other again. Now, with that said, I'd like to say more about Rabbi Karol. He joined Temple Beth-El on July 1st, 2011, and to serve as the spiritual leader of the congregation. He brought with him extensive experience in Jewish education and communal activities, in innovative worship services, Jewish musical creativity, and interreligious and multicultural programs. His wife, Rhonda, is an experienced educator of young children who holds a master's degree in Jewish communal service from Brandeis University. She's taught classes in religious school for several decades, including here at Temple Beth-El. Previously, she directed the Early Learning Center of Temple Israel in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and has taught in early childhood education settings in Las Cruces. Their son, Adam, is a 2008 graduate in professional music from the Berklee College of Music in Boston. He currently works as a freelance consultant in communications with Jewish congregations and organizations. In 2015, Adam married Juliana Schnoor, who was ordained as a rabbi in 2018 at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion in New York City. She now serves as assistant rabbi at Congregation Rodef Shalom in New York City. As a result of this union, Rabbi and Rhonda have been blessed with 2 wonderful grandchildren. Rabbi Karol was born in Kansas City, Missouri, where both of his parents also were born and raised. He attended the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, graduating in 1976 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in liberal arts and sciences, with a major in sociology and a minor in religious studies. He was ordained at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in Cincinnati in 1981 and has served congregations in Dayton, Ohio for 3 years as assistant rabbi, 22 years as rabbi of Temple Beth-El in Topeka, Kansas, and 5 years as rabbi of Temple Israel in Dover, New Hampshire, before coming here. For Rabbi Karol, service to his congregation is the main focus of his rabbinate. He has assumed a wide range of responsibilities, including Director of Education, Coordinator of Music for Worship, and Newsletter and Email Update Editor. He's engaged with congregants and lay leaders in the areas of leadership, learning, pastoral care, and spiritual development. He sees himself as an equal partner with congregants in enhancing Jewish life in the congregation and bringing the best of Judaism and Jewish values to the Temple community. Rabbi Karol's work in schools, on community boards, on state commissions, and in local interfaith pursuits have been the hallmarks of his service to the greater community. He's become known for his musical contributions to Jewish life, both as a songwriter and performer. Many of his tunes have emerged from scripture and have found an audience in Jewish and interfaith settings. He's released 3 albums of original Jewish music and a songbook, including songs from the first 2 recordings. Upon entering the Zoom room this evening, you were able to listen to 2 of his original compositions. There are a number of friends and family that we've invited to speak tonight in honor of Rabbi Karol. The first is his brother and sister-in-law, Rabbi Stephen and Donna Karol. My only personal note about this is that this Rabbi Karol served as rabbi of Congregation Sha'arei Shalom in Hingham, Massachusetts, where my daughter and her family currently attend. The other Rabbi Karol, please.
I did.
There you are.
Yay. Hi, everybody. Nice to see everybody tonight. Okay, so I want to thank you for inviting me and my wife Donna to this celebration for my brother Larry, or as you in Las Cruces know him, Rabbi Larry. So I'm now going to follow a Karol family tradition started by our father, which is to do a slideshow from my photo collection. It's safe to say, I think, that I've known Larry longer than anybody else here in the Zoom room tonight, and that gives me a certain unique perspective. Larry is the youngest of our generation of cousins, the oldest of whom just turned 91. Our parents, Ruth and Joe, were born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and so were we. They were each the youngest in their families. Our mom, the last of 9 children, our dad, the last of 4 boys. In case you don't know, Kansas City is known as the heart of America, the city of fountains, and the home of the Kansas City Royals for more than 50 years, and Kauffman Stadium, which is called the K. Larry remains a staunch Royals and Chiefs fan, which you should be aware of by now. Larry and I played a lot of baseball with each other in our backyard at 8830 Daniel Boone Road in Kansas City, Missouri when we were kids. We had numerous lively ping pong games, and we had a plastic bowling set in the basement. We spent a considerable amount of time with our extended family. That included visiting the house where our dad and his brothers grew up, and where our bubby and grandpa lived, along with 2 of our uncles, although our grandparents died when Larry was 5 and 7. Here we are with our favorite uncle, Uncle Harry. Not pictured are Uncle Doc and Uncle Dud. Don't ask me about the names. I have a limited amount of time to explain them. Ask Larry, I'm sure he'll be glad to tell you. So we also went on car trips with our parents for quite a number of years. And the first trip that I remember was to Missouri's capital city, Jefferson City. If you want to know where we went and in what year all over the country, ask Larry. He's the detail man on that and many other subjects. He was the record keeper of gas mileage in the back seat with me. Also, for a number of years, he would listen to local radio station WHB and keep track of the top hits of the year on New Year's Eve. He was the one also to help our dad with his many do-it-yourself projects around the house. There are a lot of similarities between us. We went to the same elementary school, junior high, and high school. We went to Temple along with our parents almost every Friday night. We used to explore the building while our mom was setting up for the Oneg Shabbat. We both belonged to junior youth group and senior youth group, and we both were on its We Speak for Judaism panel that spoke at churches with our dad as advisor. We were both students of our parents when they were religious school teachers. And we were in separate summers in the 7-week-long program called Torah Corps at the UAHC Kutz Camp in Warwick, New York. We both were on the debate team in high school, went to Big Ten schools, and went to Hebrew Union College. The first year in Jerusalem, and then 4 years in Cincinnati. Also, we are among the many former B'nai Yehuda students who became rabbis. But only Larry has always been the music man. He started out in the Cub Scout Drum and Bugle Corps, played the cornet in the school band, and became a guitar player. In fact, should be no surprise to you, it's not unusual to see Larry with his guitar. Even more than that, and better than that, is to see Larry with Rhonda. They will celebrate their 38th anniversary in August, and they are one of the most symbiotic and loving couples that I have ever known and loved, much like our parents. They are distinct and talented individuals, and they are an amazing collaborative team. Your congregation has been blessed with that sense of teamwork, just as previous congregations have been. And they are gracious hosts. When Samantha and Adam were born more than 30 years ago, Larry and I both became dads and uncles within 7 months of each other. Larry has been there for family physically and emotionally. At Samantha's college graduation, with her mom, Mary, her grandpa, Hal, and her future husband, Rob. At her and Rob's wedding, where Larry multitasked as ketubah signer, officiant, and chair lifter. At Donna's and my wedding, where he multitasked again and signed the ketubah and sang two are better than one and co-officiated with our rabbi. At Adam and Julie's wedding, where he and Rhonda got to be dad and mom. And as a special private blesser at Julie's rabbinic ordination. He and Rhonda have become proud grandparents, Pop and Nan, of Joshi and Eva Ruth, and have connected with Julie's family. Being in the same profession, we've been able to see each other at CCAR and URJ conventions. Following the example of our dad, we just have to take a picture whenever we get together. Sometimes we include other people like the foreign minister of Egypt when we were in Cairo. Our cousin Greg, and Larry's B'nai Yehuda and HUC classmate Art Nematoff, who's on this Zoom call tonight in the Zoom room, who's been the senior rabbi at B'nai Yehuda for a number of years. We're at Graders in Cincinnati. Boy, was that good. When I spoke at Larry's installation service almost 9 years ago, I used the text from Genesis about Jacob having a dream in which there was a ladder with angels going up and down between the heavens and the earth. And Jacob proclaimed, "How awesome is this place?" And he named it Beth-El. So I said at that time, your rabbi, my brother, is a knowledgeable, kind, intelligent, and loving individual. He is creative and talented, traditional and innovative, warm and motivated. He is efficient and energetic, devoted and dedicated, compassionate and caring. He is, in a word, awesome. Temple Beth-El is at a critical turning point in your history, and the next year will help determine your future path. I pray, and Donna joins with me in praying, that it will be an awesome year for you as a congregation and for Larry and Rhonda. Welcome to retirement and to the Emeritus Club. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the other Rabbi Karol. I'd like to introduce now Judy Rosensweet. Rabbi Karol has known Judy since he first arrived at Temple Israel in Dayton, Ohio, as she was the youth group advisor there at the time. Judy, would you like to say a few words?
Yes. The first time I met Larry, he was a newly ordained rabbi. I was youth group advisor, and my husband Bob was Temple Israel's administrator. The first youth group event we went on was to Kings Island Amusement Park. Larry told the kids to just call him Larry. One of the kids was up on the platform halfway up the replica of the Eiffel Tower, which is the centerpiece of the park. When he saw Larry, Bob, and myself walking past, we heard, "Hey, Rabbi Larry." That was the first time I saw him turn red, but definitely not the last. Larry and my husband, Bob, had an immediate connection, and they became fast friends. It did not take long for Larry to make his presence known at Temple Israel. He was a hit. With his guitar and his big heart, he was a definite fan favorite. He always loved to have a good time. Like at the Temple Talent Show, he teamed up with the cantor to come on stage dressed as the Blues Brothers singing their songs. After a short time in Dayton, he met a wonderful lady. Here comes Rhonda. They were a perfect match, and before long, Bob was helping Rhonda and her mom, Jean, plan their wedding. We shared so many Shabbat dinners with the Karols and Rabbi Irving Bloom and Pat. It was always a wonderful way to end the week. Larry and Rhonda became such dear friends, always there in good times and bad. One of the last things Larry did before leaving for Topeka was my son's brit. While I was still in the hospital, Larry and Rhonda snuck in the back staircase for clergy to visit because it was a Catholic hospital and those nuns were very strict about the number of visitors. A small act of caring that has been in my heart all these years later. When they would come back to Dayton to visit from Topeka, they stayed with us, but now there were 3. Adam and my son Matthew became good friends, so when they came, everyone looked forward to those visits. Rhonda always brought activities, and there was singing in the car. In September of 1993, my husband died on the 2nd day of Rosh Hashanah. What other rabbi would travel away from their congregation between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to co-officiate at a funeral? Our 10-year-old son wanted to give a eulogy, as it was very important for him to let everyone know how he felt about his dad. Larry sat with him and helped him write it. Once again, Larry showed how much heart he has. The first time we visited the Karols in Topeka, it was spring break from school. Now, the usual response when someone asks, "Where are you going over spring break?" would be Florida or a cruise. But when we said Topeka, Kansas, we got some pretty strange looks and one word question: why? One of our visits to Topeka was for a surprise party for Rhonda. Larry told her we were stopping in Topeka on our way from Ohio to Las Vegas to stay at the Bellagio. We never got further than Topeka, but as always, we had a great time. We don't see each other as much as I would like, but whenever we do see each other, it's as if no time between our visits. The two people that you honor tonight are the kindest, most caring couple I have ever known. We have been through births, weddings, bar mitzvahs, deaths, and now grandchildren. But as an aside to Adam, why does your bar mitzvah and your wedding have to have been in snowstorms? Larry's time at Temple Israel was way too short. He brought vitality, music, warmth, knowledge, and caring. I am so proud to call Larry and Rhonda my friends. People come into your life for many different reasons, and I thank God they came into ours. I hope this next chapter in their lives is very special, and it gives them lots of time to spend with that handsome Joshua and beautiful Eva and their parents. With you, wish you nothing but the very best. Love you always, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Terry and David Russell had been friends with the Karols for many years. Rhonda first met Terry as they were grad school classmates at Brandeis University. She was the maid of honor at Larry and Rhonda's wedding, and 3 weeks later, Rhonda was matron of honor at Terry and Dave's wedding. On another personal note, Terry now serves as the Director of Family and Adult Education at Temple Emmanuel in Newton, Massachusetts, which is where I am from.
Wow.
The most important thing I can say about David, I'm sure you will all agree, is that along with his family, he just loves chocolate. Terry and David, please.
You mentioned the most important thing. So thank you, Ned and Beth-El community, for including us in this most special evening to honor Rabbi Larry and Rhonda, or as we lovingly refer to them as Rhonda and Larry La. As you already heard, Rhonda and I met in 1977 at Brandeis University, and we've had a long, wonderful world of travel together and grown our families together, and we look forward to lots more of that. And we got married in 1982, a few weeks apart. And ever since then, we've, thanks to the Karols, we've hit all the hot spots of the United States, following them wherever they go, so we can see them at Larry's congregation. So far, we've been to Dayton, Ohio, Topeka, Kansas, where our daughter Ariel, when we came for Adam's bar mitzvah, told us there's really nothing in Kansas except for Rhonda, Larry, and Adam. So as you can tell, it was a hot spot. Then we went to Dover, New Hampshire, which is right near Boston, Massachusetts, where we're from. So we were very excited. And a couple of years ago, we were in Las Cruces to celebrate Hanukkah with your congregation, where we were immediately put to work in the kitchen and got to see the creativity of Rhonda and the beauty of her designs, and experience the beautiful, singing and music and caring and love that Larry has brought to every congregation that he's ever served. And we've been, present at all of those. Most recently, a couple of weeks ago, we were at Eva's baby naming. So, and we were also at the Blizzard in New York when Adam and Julie got married. So we're there no matter what. a couple of special things about Rhonda and about Larry is from my daughters who send you their best and wish you their best. One is that Rhonda gives the best gifts in the world. I've never equaled them, and I've never understood how she can do that when she has a son and we have 2 daughters. But she always gets them the right thing at the right time. We've celebrated a lot of holidays together via phone, and Rhonda and I have this kind of back and forth to see who's going to, and Rhonda usually wins, to see who's going to call before, you know, Passover and Hanukkah and Rosh Hashanah to wish, and all those other holidays to wish a happy holiday. And it's a wonderful connection that we have continued through the years, and it's been really nice. Larry and I have studied together and met together and sung together at the Cage conferences over the years, because I too am a Jewish professional, just not a rabbi. The other thing that Larry has done that's been very special for us is they were at our daughter's bat mitzvahs, and Larry participated in the services and used his musical talents to sing special songs for each of those bat mitzvah services. Last but not least, we are looking forward to actually seeing Rhonda and Larry once you get out of the purgatory of Corona, like all of us. And although you may eventually, you know, leave Las Cruces, we will see you again back in Kansas, even though there's really still nothing there except for Rhonda and Larry. So we wish you all the best. And here's a Coke L'chaim for Rhonda, because I'm a Coke person, and flowers for Rhonda because she's a sunflower person. And thank you again for having us. And David wants to share. I forgot.
That's okay. I get left behind a lot in these conversations. But I wanted to say congratulations. And it's been a joy to know everybody. And I wanted to say something special about Larry, and what he's done for me is I come from a less traditional background, I guess. And music was not part of my Jewish upbringing at all. And Larry has certainly introduced me to some great music that he has written, that he has sung, and it's been a pleasure to be with them on all of those occasions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jane Green knows the Rabbi and Rhonda from Temple Beth Shalom in Topeka, where she served in various leadership positions. Would you like to say a few words, Jane, please?
I'd be honored. When Jeffrey Lewis said thoughts and insights, my thoughts and insights are a wonderful tapestry of temple activities and friendship with the Karol family. Although I'd been raised in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles with a father who was a Hillel director at USC, by the time my husband Russ and I moved to Topeka, my involvement in Judaism was very, very limited. Enter Larry and Rhonda, not yet Adam. When the Karols arrived in Topeka in 1984, our daughter was eight months old, and 8 months later, we had our second daughter. The Karols came at a time when Russ and I were beginning to get interested in joining Temple Beth Shalom. I don't recall our early encounters with the Karols, but it felt like our daughter was in Rhonda's religious preschool class with the snap of a finger. I can't just speak of Larry's time at Temple Beth Shalom, because we definitely were blessed with team coverage. Rhonda is a gifted educator with a wonderful way with children. I was always impressed with how she framed a comment to a child. Rhonda would approach a child and begin talking, and before long, she and the child were carrying on a lengthy conversation about something, leaving parents' mouth agape, wondering how she did that. And I wondered that too, and I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. But it wasn't just children. Rhonda worked with the sisterhood and temple community to plan incredible educational and celebratory and hugely successful events. basically between Larry and Rhonda, everything at Temple was taken care of. We had an active board, excellent committee chairs, but Larry was really the point person to everything that happened at Temple. Our Shabbat services were lovely, well attended, and kid-friendly. We had a full schedule of adult education classes. Larry did bar and bat mitzvah tutoring. He headed up an annual Kansas State Holocaust commemorations that were held at the atrium of our Capitol. And we had lively Purim celebrations, which I've seen he's continued at Las Cruces. Go Royals, go Chiefs. We had many memorable events. Peter Yarrow performed at an opening of Brown versus Board of Education Museum and spent an evening at Temple as well. We had Holocaust commemoration at Brown v. Board. I feel that we as a congregation were part of the inception of Larry's incredible music, and that it became a very, very important part of our Temple experience. The list goes on, to also include creating service booklets that we still use today, publishing monthly newsletters that we still use the same format, creating and managing our website, setting up tables, opening and closing Temple, maybe mopping floors. You get the point. And then there are personal experiences with Rabbi Larry as our rabbi and the Karols as dear friends. I had 2 terms as Temple president and 11 years on the board during Larry's tenure, which allowed me to work very closely with Larry. But I also felt that our families grew up together. We had the Karols to our house for dinners and boat rides, and we had huge Hanukkah parties where the Temple kids put on plays for us. Adam always taking his role in the play very seriously in appropriate costumes. I was our first adult bat mitzvah at Temple and shared the bima with our daughter for her bat mitzvah and our son in utero. My mother, who was undergoing breast cancer treatment, had an aliyah, and Larry told her that this was equivalent to a bat mitzvah. And I cannot describe what that meant to her. When our son Josh was born, Adam became, I'll have to say, his favorite babysitter. Our parents were frequent visitors to Topeka and attended many Temple events. Larry, Rhonda, and Adam always made them feel like Temple family members. So between our families, 4 births, 2 brisses, 4 consecrations, 5 b'nai mitzvahs, 3 confirmations, the death of 4 parents, and 36 years of a beautiful, loving friendship. Mazel tov, Larry and Rhonda, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like to say that Topeka grew our marriage and our family. So we thank Topeka for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you very much. Elise and Craig Stevens, living on the seacoast of New Hampshire, have known the Karols since his rabbinate at Temple Israel in Dover, New Hampshire. Would you like to say a few words now?
We're ready whenever you guys are.
Go to it.
First of all, Craig and I would like to say that we're honored to be invited to speak tonight in honor of Rabbi Larry and Rhonda.
So anyhow, what you're going to hear is this kind of a series of vignettes. They may not mean much to you guys, but hopefully it's something that will mean a little something to Rhonda and Larry. Go ahead, Elise.
Taking Larry and Rhonda to dinner and getting acquainted at Jumpin' Jay's.
So Larry's first time at Fenway Park, the Royals versus the Red Sox. He asked on the ride down, "Is it okay for me to wear my Royals cap?" Of course, I told him yes. So the Royals are leading the Red Sox. And a fan says to Larry, "You're killing me here."
I joined the ritual committee and discovered a kindred spirit in Rabbi Larry. Some of our successes included bringing the Mishkan Tefillah and the new commentaries to the community. and also bringing Havdalah out into the community and celebrating at different congregants' homes.
Pizza at the Upper Crust with Larry and Rhonda after the Passover. My pie is the chief, in honor of Johnny Busick, was pepperoni with garlic and mushrooms. And I asked Larry at one point in time, Larry, would you like a slice? Why don't you come to the dark side? Because we all know he keeps kosher.
We were introduced to Rabbi Larry's music, along with other contemporary Jewish artists at services. Swaying with Rhonda became a tradition.
Larry and I helping to unload the new portable ark at the temple in Dover. Said he and I uncrated the ark and put it together, and Larry actually used a screw.
I really don't know. Being together for holidays, celebrating, we became a family. Passover at the Karols, Thanksgiving at the Stevens became tradition. Being gently encouraged by Rhonda to paint a Miriam's cup at a sisterhood event. So glad she did, as it has become a beautiful memory that I use every year. Also, thanks to Rhonda for teaching me the caterer's napkin trick.
So my daughter used to work, or our daughter used to work at the local movie theater, and she was having a private showing of Star Trek. And I knew that Larry liked Star Trek, the Star Trek series. So I gave him a call late one night. They were going to have a private showing just for a very small group of people. I said, Larry, would you like to go to see the Star Trek movie? And he said, hang on a second. And I hear him say, Rhonda, can I go to the Star Trek movie with Craig?
Craig and I orchestrated several fundraisers with the help of Larry and Rhonda, the biggest of which raised enough money to purchase a tree of life in loving memory of my dear friend Lorraine.
So I stopped over at Rhonda and Larry's one day. They were having trouble with their screen door. So I stopped over to fix their screen door, which I did. And so Rhonda said to me, she's like, you're Batman. And Larry said, so what does that make me, Robin? And she said, no, Vanna White.
Poor Larry. Celebrating my grandmother's 100th birthday at Langdon Place with a sing-along by Rabbi Larry, where he played to a full house.
A special day with Rhonda and Larry at Castle in the Clouds and in Moultonborough and then up in the mountains of in our area up there. And so Castle and Clouds, such a special place, lots of pictures and great times. I actually have pictures that I could show you, but I'm not going to. And need I say more?
A kosher cookout at Olive House with the gang when Larry came back, Larry and Rhonda, one time from Las Cruces. Larry exclaimed, hey, I can have a hot dog and a hamburger.
Music at all our services, high holidays, it didn't matter. And Larry bringing that music to us, us never having really experienced anything quite like that. And Larry introducing us to not only his music, but also to many Jewish musicians. And of course, Larry and his guitar are inseparable.
Unexpectedly, we renewed our vows at our daughter's wedding reception, officiated by an equally surprised Rabbi Larry. Greatest pushy thing my friend Lorraine ever came up with.
A panic phone call one night, or one afternoon, I'm sorry, from Rhonda said, could you come and help us pack to move? Unfortunately, they're moving out of our community. And can you help us pack, help us come and pack and help us move? Because the movers were there at their house.
Rhonda and Larry spent the last night in New Hampshire at our house, and Craig made a beautiful breakfast to send them on their way the next morning.
3 trips to Las Cruces to visit and enjoy the holidays with our friends. And how about caliches and a gizmo for me?
I was going to mention the 3 trips to Las Cruces, and we were honored the last time.
Did you?
Yeah, you did. To be invited out to the Bima for Havdalah.
Josh's Bris in New York City, dinner with Rhonda and Larry, and a day spent at the 9/11 Museum.
Somewhere in here, I missed saying that unfortunately we missed Adam and Julie's wedding due to the fact that Craig's dad passed away the night before. So this is just a small sampling of the many memories we've made as friends, and look forward to making many, many more in the future. Love you guys.
I'm not done.
Oh, sorry.
Well rehearsed.
Yeah.
So anyhow, and as a memory that there's always Chad Gadya, because whenever Larry would play Chad Gadya, he would call us and we'd listen and sing along on his phone or on our phones, and generally with the difference in time, it was around 11:30 here, so it was always interesting. But we have a tradition now that after services, Larry gives me a call and we just touch base, and we want to continue that. I do want to continue that tradition. So please, let's stick to it, okay, Larry?
Will do.
All right, we love you guys.
Back at you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you've been participating in our Zoom services recently too, haven't you?
We have.
That's what I thought.
We love them. That's the only way we can get to services here.
Still snow on the ground?
What a guy.
Thank you. Daisy Maldonado is a community engagement director. She and the rabbi have known each other since 2011, when they worked together on the New Mexico State University Interfaith Council. They've partnered on many interreligious programs throughout Rabbi Karol's time in Las Cruces. Daisy, would you like to say a few words, please?
Yes, thank you. I would like to say first, I'm very honored to be part of this celebration. And I'm, I guess I'm just very surprised. I've heard a lot of words that I have no idea what they mean because they're not part of my faith tradition, obviously. And all I can think of is if Larry was part of some sort of Muslim or Islamic gathering, he'd probably be like, well, there's things I heard that I know, but there's lots of things I have no idea. But what I appreciate very much about Larry is that he is probably the person who is here in Las Cruces that I have met, the most dedicated to interfaith dialogue, probably just a little bit more than me. And I'm honored that he and I have become friends over the last 9 years and have hosted many different events and dialogues, and have both been open to hearing about each other's faiths and practices and understanding the similarities and talking about the differences. And Larry's heart is just so open and loving that never did I feel that if I shared anything from my faith tradition that he would ever judge it or denounce it. In fact, he was always all embracing. And I find that very refreshing in the interfaith world. You would imagine, or you would think people that want to do interfaith are open, but sometimes they're not. And I think also that Larry handled those situations with grace. So beyond just interfaith conversations and dialogue, Larry and I also had the opportunity to do some faith-based organizing, and that in and of itself is a feat. And being a faith leader, having people look to us and ask us to give reflections and provide understanding about situations that maybe didn't make sense, and that they needed a kind word, they needed support, they needed to know that as faith leaders we were there. And again, I was just so honored to stand by Larry and knowing that he was I'm not going to say partner in crime, but he was my partner in standing for what is right and what is ethical, and standing with our people. And there isn't another faith leader like that, I don't think, here in Las Cruces anymore. There's been several others who've all almost pretty much retired and moved on. And so it's bittersweet to see Larry go, because retirement is well deserved. And I know he will enjoy his time being independent, but he will be missed on the interfaith here in Las Cruces. And it's so, as Las Cruces is both big and small all at the same time, Rhonda, when both Larry and Rhonda first came, she was working at a preschool that my daughter actually was attending. And so it's just such a small world. And even recently, Larry says, "Hey, do you know someone and, you know, their wife and this and that?" And I was like, I think I do. And this is just how Las Cruces goes. But also because Larry is such a pinnacle in our community, in our small town of Las Cruces. And I'm so impressed and so jealous, actually. Mr. Rabbi Larry gets a whole proclamation from the city of Las Cruces. Well deserved, though. Absolutely well deserved. He has done so much for people here, and even in his retirement, I know that he will continue to do that until he leaves. Both him and Rhonda. Love you both, and enjoy your time. And I hope to see you before you go off onto your next adventure. And all the best.
Thank you, Daisy.
Daisy, thank you very much for your kind words. Next to speak is Ellen Torres. She's a former president of the Temple Board of Trustees, and for whom Rabbi Karol performed her wedding. Ellen?
Hi, everybody. I want to say Mazel Tov to Rabbi Larry and Rhonda for your dedicated years of service, not just here in Las Cruces, but for all of the, I think, 39 years that you've been in the rabbinate. And here's my letter to you. Dear Rabbi Larry, it was August 9th, 2011, the day after my mother died, that I arrived in Las Cruces to meet with you and my family to plan her funeral, which we held the next day. You suggested we include the prayer, A Woman of Valor, and I said I would write a statement that I would read. My father and brother just listened and agreed with the program that we decided on. You also explained that we would hold 2 Shiva Minions since the third night would be Shabbat. I was very pleased with how all of the programs ran and your knowledge and experience about putting everything together. That was my introduction to you as a rabbi. I traveled frequently to Las Cruces that year to visit my father and to spend time with Fred, whom I had met that same week in August of the following, when we decided to get married, we planned a Jewish wedding with you officiating. You were very kind during that time and helped us to design a meaningful event that we held on August 12th of the following year. The wedding was held at La Posta with 75 friends and relatives, and you did a beautiful job of leading it, including learning how to sing and play Marry Me by the group Train. A year later, we invited you to say a blessing at our housewarming after we moved into our new home. When my father died in December 2013, you met with us again to plan the funeral and Shiva Minions. After all of these life cycles, Fred and I finally joined Temple Beth-El, and I joined the Adult Education Committee as well, eventually chairing it and meeting with you regularly to plan the monthly events. In 2015, I was elected to the Board of Trustees and became the secretary in my first year on the board. By the next year, I was elected president. I got to know you well as we spent time together in many, many meetings, temple events, planning sessions, and on numerous phone calls. We lived through contract negotiations, annual meetings, fundraising events like the JFFF, Matzo Ball Golf Tournament, the Renaissance Fair, Night of the Auction, etc., Jewish Federation events, and grant writing and grant-sponsored events like singer Robin Helsner, comedian Bob Alper, Jewish cooking expert Tina Wasserman, poet Alden Solovey, performer Julie Silver, and the play Memories about our temple history. As you and I and a small team of people did most of the writing and preparation for all of those grant events, and they were very successful with your very expertise help. You and Rhonda and Fred and I attended the 2017 URJ Biennial in Boston, and with your urging, I attended the 2017 Shite Seminar for Temple Presidents in San Diego as well. And we spent the past couple of years developing the Nominating and Leadership Committee, facilitating leadership workshops, and hosting board orientations at my home. With your help, I learned much and developed as a leader. I want to thank you for your support and your guidance. I appreciate all you have done for our temple community and for me. I wish both you and Rhonda the best on your retirement. You will never be forgotten. Be strong, and may we continue to strengthen one another. With love and best wishes, Ellen.
Thank you.
Ellen, that was lovely.
Lovely.
Thank you. Just in case people are interested, there's almost 100 people right now on this Zoom meeting, probably more than that because some of us are doubled up. So another indication of your influence on people and people's willingness to come to congratulate you and share in this life cycle event with you, Larry and Rhonda. Now, for a few minutes, we'd like to share with you some of our congregation's memories of the Las Cruces years.
Zion, Asad.
Boy, those 9 or 10 years seem to have gone awfully fast, don't they?
No kidding.
Now, I'd like to introduce Ann Rehovic, who met Rhonda Karol as a result of Rhonda's involvement in the Children's Reading Alliance board here. And this has seemed to have sparked an ongoing friendship. Ann, please.
Thank you. I'm really delighted to be part of this event honoring Rabbi Larry and Rhonda. I'm not a member of the temple. I'm not even Jewish, and yet I have been warmly welcomed into Rabbi Larry's and Rhonda's home and at the temple to be part of other celebrations and events. And I have been enriched by everyone, sometimes deeply so, and I am grateful to both of them. Naturally, Larry and Rhonda are at the center of Beth-El community, but the impressive thing to me is how important they've been to the larger community of Las Cruces. I so appreciated the remarks that Daisy made because it has shown their presence. However, I want to speak most especially about Rhonda. It was Rhonda's commitment to community that brought us together when she came to the board of directors of the Children's Reading Alliance. We served together as 2 of 3 on an executive committee for some important formative years of the organization. She brought wisdom and the experience of years working with other children's reading organizations in other cities. And Rhonda brought passion, that profound commitment to an important belief and the willingness to put one's own life energy into it. For Rhonda, it is the recognition of the value of a child's life. And what I want to say is the value of how a child lives life as a child. Learning is key and reading is key. Rhonda created a summer reading program for the Reading Alliance, working with the public schools and their summer classes for K through 3rd grade. The reading program provides the experience of being read to by an adult, and each child is given books to take home. We all loved the story of the little girl who was excited about selecting her own book on the first week. On the following week of summer school, she asked how many, she was asked how many books she had at home, and the child responded, "If I get a book today, then I will have 2. The summer reading program annually puts around 2,000 books into the hands and homes of children. It is a program that Rhonda started and which is still popular. Thank you, Rhonda. I don't think that a person can really know Rhonda until you've seen her working directly with children. I've been very fortunate to spend time in her preschool classroom. It was the place I was at first reluctant to go because of all those little human beings. Yet here's the thing. Rhonda and her classroom was somehow magical. In the course going about daily routines and lessons, these children gently learn so much about themselves and how they affect others, and how to be aware of their own feelings, learning to quiet their fears, how to be kind to others. All of this, in addition to the educational skills development of pre-reading and writing and numerical literacy. Rhonda is a gentle and comforting guide. She respects children in a way I've never witnessed before, and she respects their potential, and children respond wonderfully to her. Some say it takes a village to raise a child. Not necessarily, if you have Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda, for our great times together. Thank you, Rabbi, for all you've given me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rhonda met Glenda McShannon 6 years ago when Rhonda became educational assistant in the newly launched classroom in the Las Cruces Public Schools for pre-K for advanced learners. Glenda?
Oh, there you are in your chair.
Hi. I mostly know Rabbi Larry through Miss Rhonda because I've worked with Miss Rhonda for the last 6 years. But I want to just talk about Rabbi Larry's willingness to come and share Hanukkah with the children, and also his willingness to bring us things when we desperately needed things, and many times bringing us lunch, which I would say we desperately needed sometimes. But one of my favorite memories is Miss Rhonda always referred to her husband as Rabbi Larry, but the children never did. They always called him Miss Rhonda's husband. And that is something that every group and every child always did. Here comes Miss Rhonda's husband. But I want to talk just a little bit about Miss Rhonda. I've had such a great time working with her. You work with a number of people and you always try to work as a team, but I feel like Miss Rhonda's really a team player, and we've really been able to work together and to think about children and try to figure things out. Because when you work in a classroom with young children, there's always issues and new things that come up that you have to figure out. And what I really deeply appreciate about Rhonda is her willingness not just to think about it, but to do the hard work of figuring out how to solve things. So that's one of the things I would really like to share. The other thing is her ability to work with young children. Sometimes you work really hard to try to teach children some difficult concepts, and Rhonda's always willing to try something different and try something new and come up with an idea and see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then try something a little different. Let's see, what else? One of the things that I would also say is it's really been a pleasure for me to work with someone where we can sit and think together and just think and say, what can we do about this, and what could we try, and if that doesn't work, let's try again and think about something different. So one of the challenges that we've had this summer is we're getting ready to reopen the classroom in the fall, and it will look quite different than it has in the past, and quite different than any classroom that Rhonda or myself have ever worked in, even though we have both worked with children for approximately 30 years. So just the willingness to get together every week on Zoom and talk and think about how are we going to do this, and how can we try this, and what can we do? So I just really appreciate all her thinking about how to bring the children back into the classroom and keep everybody safe. And then lastly, I would just say that I've really enjoyed working with Rhonda. And it's not only developed as people who work together, but that we're really friends, and I'm proud to say that she's a friend of mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Glenda.
Thank you.
And thank you for not being afraid of me and letting me be part of the partnership. Appreciate it.
Now, I'd like to introduce the current president of the Temple Beth-El Board of Trustees, Cheryl Decker.
Unmute.
Are you there, Cheryl?
Okay, hold up. Did that help? Is that better?
Quite a bit.
Much better.
Thank you. Okay. On behalf of Temple Beth-El, I wish to thank you both for your dedication to our temple, our children, and our religious school. You deserve our gratitude for all the bar and bat mitzvahs, confirmations, adult conversions, and b'nai mitzvahs you have performed. You have presided at our weddings, our funerals, our baby namings. You have visited the sick and consoled the grieving. You have given us 9 years of Friday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday school services. You have gifted and entertained us with your beautiful music. You have become friends to many of our members and have mentored many of us. We wish you laughter and lovely visits with your children, Adam and Julie, your beautiful grandchildren, Josh and Eva, your family and friends. We wish you renewed good health. Because of your previous love of traveling, I hope you take time to visit every state in our amazing country and have grand adventures. And now, if all of you have a bubbly in front of you, and I know many of you do, if you will raise that. We hope, I'm trying to get through this. And most of all, from the members of Temple Beth-El, Rabbi Emeritus Lawrence P. Karol and Rhonda Karol, we wish you a long, joyous retirement. L'chaim.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Before moving on,
Thank you.
I want to make sure I acknowledge the work of Bob Kimball, who put together that wonderful video on the rabbi's tenure here in Las Cruces. So thank you very much, Bob. Now, I'd like to introduce Rabbi and Rhonda's son and daughter-in-law, Adam and Julie Karol. Adam is a talented singer-songwriter, and it's quite clear to me from where Adam got his musical talent and interest. Julie Karol is an assistant rabbi at Congregation Road of Shalom in New York City. All else, however, pales compared to the fact that Adam and Julie are the parents of Larry and Rhonda's 2 grandchildren. Julie and Adam, please.
I need
where we rank in the hierarchy with my parents. I want to preface this by saying that I'm going to talk about my dad tonight. My mom knows that. I love you, Mom. She's not going to be offended. No one worry about her. Okay. And also, my mom said to me this afternoon, Adam, are you going to cry? And I said, well, since I became a father, I cry at everything now. So I'm going to try my best. Here we go. My dad is a great rabbi. I say this not only as a biased son, but as someone who has worked closely with a lot of rabbis. My dad's rabbinate was never about him. It has been about the Jewish people, about creating a sense of community that allowed us to positively experience our Judaism in ways that connected us to it for a lifetime. He is selfless, with an unflinching North Star of a moral compass. He cares for us deeply and shares our pain and joy, our hurt and our happiness. He believes in the human capacity for love, kindness, and learning. He has tirelessly served his community, not just those who worship within the walls of a synagogue, but reaching far beyond. Of course, that call to serve won't stop here. Knowing you, Dad, this moment feels more like a reframe than a retirement. But you have earned this. So as we celebrate this well-earned reframe, I wanted to share 5 lessons I've learned from my dad. There are many more, but I kept it to 5. From my dad while observing for 34 years of his 39-year career. Lesson number 1. Bring your whole authentic self. Bring your kindness and your wisdom, your strengths and your challenges, your heart and your mind, your guitar, your voice, your melodies, and your lyrics. Number 2, do the right thing. If you ever have doubts about what that looks like in a given moment, just look to my dad. See what he's up to and listen to what he's saying. He's delivered chapstick and toothpaste to churches housing refugees. He helped make Monroe School a National Historic Site. He stood up when the Kansas School Board attempted to ban the teaching of evolution in classrooms. Show up, march, listen, raise your voice, and when in doubt, check in with my dad. Lesson number 3, educate, don't belittle. In the face of hate or ignorance, gather your strength and recalibrate. This is a teaching moment. Number 4, you can be a dedicated professional and a present father. There are many, and this is probably where I'm going to lose it, but there are many examples I could give here, but I just want to share one in particular. Something you may not know about my dad is that he's a stellar pediatric nurse. Homesick from school meant spending the day on my dad's office couch. He wrote sermons, put together bulletins and Shabbat handouts, all the while tending to me as I watched Field of Dreams 3 times in a row and tried to be James Earl Jones. Just pretty good at it. Pretty good at it. And finally, number 5. And my Uncle Steve alluded to this earlier, and this is a shout out to you, Uncle Steve. There is no fact too benign or obscure to be committed to memory. Anyone who knows my dad knows his memory is insane, like prodigiously good. Ask my dad about any Royals game he attended in the early 70s, and he can probably tell you where he sat, who pitched, and Dad, you know this is right, and what Cookie Rojas did in his 3rd at bat. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Well, I can attest that this isn't something that can be turned off. It's not actually about the factoids. You hold on to them for the connections they can spark, the comfort they can offer, and the relationships they can deepen. You, Dad, are a great rabbi. How lucky we all are to have you as our teacher. Mazel tov, Dad. We love you, and we celebrate you always.
Mazel tov, love you.
L'chaim.
Thank you, love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present to you Rabbi Larry and Rhonda Karol. And don't forget to unmute.
That's what she told me to do.
Before we start, I have to say
she's got to say that.
That's our greatest production, Adam Karol. Greatest production. And now he and Julie have partnered for more great production. So anyway, here we go. Those of you that heard us at Yom Kippur heard us deliver a sermon together. So we will deliver our remark.
Can I make a remark about this? So this reading is from Mishkan Tefillah. And when I looked up who wrote it, it was Rabbi Norman Hirsch, who served in the Seattle area for a long time. But the first pulpit in his rabbinate was as assistant rabbi to Rabbi Abraham Feldman at Congregation Beth Israel in West Hartford, Connecticut. Rabbi Feldman was the subject of my rabbinic thesis. So see, that's another little one of those factoids.
Invisible lines of
that brings a connection to what we're doing tonight.
Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving.
Having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events
and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming.
We sometimes leave what was familiar to become familiar with something new.
We may physically leave one place, but we do not leave behind fond memories, partnerships, achievements, shared holidays and life events, sorrows and joys.
We may stay in one place, leaving behind the responsibilities of one position, only to assume a new and significant role, which does not disconnect us from people or our past.
We carry everyone and everything with us, because each of us is the product of all of our experiences and relationships, family, friends, congregants, and fellow travelers on our journeys.
Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving.
Having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events.
And by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are.
We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Lech Lecha.
Lechilach.
We have gone forth.
What have we become?
Graduates, Jewish professionals, friends, spouses, travelers.
Residents of the capital city, parents, passengers on the train in Gage Park, nearby adult children.
A family of Chiefs, Royals, and Jayhawk fans, musical theater devotees for the young star in the family, a Jewish singer-songwriter, a teacher and storyteller, veteran religious members.
A proud mom and dad and two.
Family, can't live in families.
Hold on, excuse me.
Can you please mute?
Whoever's not muted, please mute. A proud mom and dad and two graduations. Sea coast dwellers, a short drive from the ocean, from some family and friends, from some outlet malls, and great ice cream with mounds of snow gracing our yard.
Suddenly, southwestern desert dwellers at Israel's latitude, bearers of new allergies, seekers of new doctors, hairdressers, and a place to find fresh challah for Shabbat.
Apprentice appreciators of New Mexico chili, so please don't ask about the color. Fans of gypsum dunes at White Sands, spectators of beautiful sunsets from our patio, resulting in galleries of photo memories.
Celebrants at a snowy winter wedding, proud mother-in-law, proud father-in-law. 60-year-olds, still teachers of children and adults, still learners from children and adults.
Still community servants, still friends making friends, grandparents connected with family through wondrous technology, home dwellers in the face of a new challenge, trying to stay safe and healthy, Zoom masters.
Hopefully, thankful, patient, and flexible souls as our plans change. 65-year-olds who have come to the conclusion of a chapter, but not the end of the journey. Reflections of those who came before us, who left us their legacies, on whose shoulders we stand.
Builders and givers to a future, for peers and for a new generation, to learn, to teach, to care, and to grow.
We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. May all of us be blessed with courage.
The power to let go of the familiar.
As we tread new paths.
While not losing our treasured connections.
And while helping one another always
to walk with hope. Thank you.
Thank you. That was, I don't know what to say. Rabbi Karol, along with Rabbi Arthur Nimitoff and Rabbi Harry Rosenfeld, were all ordained together at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion in Cincinnati in 1981. I'd like to invite Rabbi Nimitoff and Rabbi Rosenfeld to deliver our closing benediction. Please, gentlemen.
Oh, how little you know us. We can't just bless, we have to talk. So I'm going to go first because I have known Larry the third longest of anyone else on this call, after Steve and after Art. And Julie, just to give you a fair warning, I'm the second youngest rabbi on this call by decades between you and I. I met Larry sometime in the summer of 1976 when we were all in Israel together. Art and I became roommates along with a couple of other of our friends. And Larry was off in an apartment someplace else in Jerusalem. But that didn't stop him or us from making our apartment his home. And so he was there on a regular basis, sharing Shabbat with often than not, but he always brought his own chicken. And so maybe that's why we welcomed you, I'm not sure. But whatever it was, those Shabbat memories have stayed with me all these years. Rhonda, you were not the first love of his life. That honor goes to Ariella, his beloved guitar. And while she was a beloved guitar and beloved relationship before Israel, Ariella saved your life. On that almost last night in Jerusalem when we were walking home from school, and a car came barreling down the street, and Art and I were farther down the road and we heard this crash. And we came running back, and all you could think of was, Ariella, was your guitar okay? And she was. Needed some work, but thank God a lot less work than you needed, a lot more work than you needed, I should say. You came away almost totally unscathed. We get to Cincinnati, and we shared classes, we shared dorm rooms, dorm space. We had separate rooms. We shared, well, you wrote the song, you and I wrote lyrics together. Paul Simon wrote songs, the music back then. Perhaps one day during retirement, Larry will sing that for you. The amazing part, as Adam referred to, is Larry's prodigious memory, but just to out him a little bit, he does save almost every piece of paper. And so he still had the words for that song, and he sent them to me a few years ago. Our life travels took us in different directions. Larry stayed in Ohio, going to Dayton, and I went to Tennessee, to Memphis. But I had to go back. I had to go to Dayton. Born and raised in Ohio, it was the only time I was ever in Dayton. It was for your wedding. And what a beautiful wedding it was. Seeing that picture earlier was just heartwarming and brought back all the great feelings from those days. I left Memphis and was interviewing around, and I had this interview in Topeka. And then I decided to take the congregation in Anchorage, and they called Topeka, and I said, you know, you were a great congregation, and it was really a hard choice for me, but I have a friend who's interviewing for a new congregation also. And his name is Larry Karol. And they went, we just got his application today. And so you were their blessing for all those years. And then Dover. And then I get this call from you that says, you're going to Las Cruces. And I said, I'm going to Albuquerque. And so two classmates showed up here 9 years ago, different parts of the state, but still together, separated by a mere few miles on I-25. We've worked together, not as much as perhaps we could have over the summers with Camp Oranim and just you guys coming through town. And it's always been a pleasure and a blessing to see you. Michelle's here with me also, and she sends her love. And know that during this year of retirement, when you're still in the state, we probably still won't get down to Las Cruces, but you're always welcome up here after the pandemic, when the governor says it's okay. How about that? And I asked you, you know, when you were leaving Dover and when you'd be coming through, because we were in Buffalo at that point, and you know, we could caravan, but you were going a week or two before we were. And so you actually are, at this point in time, for one more week, less than a week, the senior serving rabbi in any congregation in the state of New Mexico. An honor, a position, an honor I hope to be able to live up to next year in my last year before I retire. Larry and Rhonda, you've always been there. Parrots, you've especially always been there for me. And stay in Las Cruces, and for how longer when you finally make that trek to the great Kansas City, another place I've never been. What can I say? We'll always be there for each other. Just a phone call, an email, or a text away. Art?
Hi, everybody. I am Rabbi Art Nematoff, and as Harry said, I have known Larry for a lot of years. First, I want to just say thank you to Temple Beth-El for honoring your rabbi for having him serve as your leader, as your guide, as your pastor during these last years. You have been well served, and thank you for honoring him tonight. So Larry and I grew up together in Kansas City. We grew up at the same synagogue. Both our pictures are on our confirmation wall. Larry is a lot smarter than I am and a lot more talented than I am. Larry was the one who won the confirmation essay, not me. And he has always been the one who was the shining star in terms of our congregation. Larry and I and Harry, we all went to rabbinical school together. We hung out together a lot and in Cincinnati. And I will always remember the fact that Larry is a much longer lived rabbi than me, because his name ends with a K, starts with a K, and my name starts with an N. So he was the 19th rabbi to be ordained from our congregation, and I was only the 20th. So Larry has that honor of being an older rabbi than I am. Rhonda, you have been the best thing to ever happen to Larry. And I want to thank you for being his partner, for being his muse, being his inspiration, being everything that you are to make him who he has become over these last many years. It is an odd thing, Larry, for you and me and Harry to think that we've been rabbis now for 39 years. And over those years, all of us, and Steve, you too, and Julie, you as well, we have all blessed people in moments of transition. When children have been born, we have blessed them. When children became bar and bat mitzvah, we blessed them. When people became Jewish, we blessed them. When people were married, we blessed them. At anniversaries, we blessed them. At birthdays, we blessed them. And it seems only appropriate that your community, your temple, bless you tonight. And so, Ned or Steve, if you could accommodate us for a moment, what we'd like to ask you to do is, if you can, I want everybody to please be very quiet, but if you could unmute everybody for a moment. And what we're going to do, is Harry and I, Rhonda and Larry, we're going to bless you. Yes. Just as you have blessed so many people for now decades. It's our honor to bless you. But what we'd like everyone on this call to do is to take your hand and to reach out as though you are touching Rhonda and Larry.
So if you want to be seen, you'll have to arrange the angle of your
Okay, I'm going to ask everyone to be quiet for a moment, please. And so Harry, Larry, and Rhonda, Harry and I are going to say the Hebrew. And then after we do the Hebrew, we're going to say the English, and we're going to ask everybody to repeat the English after us. And in this way, Larry and Rhonda, your community, those who love you the most, are going to bless you. So if everybody lift up their hands towards Larry and Rhonda.
Put your hand like that, right over that little, there you go. See?
Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you
Adonai
and keep
bless
you.
you and keep you.
Everybody say that. May God bless you and keep you.
Bless you and
God
keep
bless
you.
you and keep you. God bless you and keep you.
May God upon you as you have love, light, and wisdom upon you. And may God be gracious to you as you have been gracious to so many.
He's doing Bye.
Adonai lift up his light upon you.
And our final blessing, if everybody could just, for one moment, be very quiet. Please don't speak. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And now I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. May God bless you, Rhonda and Larry.
May God bless you, Rhonda and Larry.
May God bless you with health and happiness.
May God bless you with health and happiness.
Travels and adventures.
Travels and adventures.
Love of children and grandchildren.
Love of children and grandchildren.
Above all, may you have the blessing of shalom, of peace.
And most
Peace.
Live long and prosper.
Larry and Rhonda, we offer you this blessing. We love you. We support you. And I know I speak on behalf of Harry and myself, of Michelle and Leslie, of saying Mazel Tov, and we're right behind you.
Mazel tov.
Stephen, back to you.
We love you.
And we want to say thank you before people start getting off to our friends and family from near and far, spread all over, who have shared many things with us. When Adam told the story of Larry being a great pediatric nurse, he neglected to mention that behind every good man is a great woman, and that's Patty Foster, who was Larry's secretary, and she's called for all the years we were in Topeka. Additionally, his secretary from
I just want to know that I would never neglect Patty Foster.
Right. Tammy.
Thank you for everything. Yes, I agree, Mom. Thanks.
You're welcome. Tammy Facetta, Rabbi Phil, and Nancy Berkowitz, whom we met when we were in Dover. They retired to Maine. My friend Patty Rosenberg, with whom I baked challah in a toaster oven during my college days at Clark with her. Sharon Nathan, a friend from Topeka. Rabbi Morley Feinstein. Liz Bergman Harms, who was a former president of Temple Beth Shalom and had a daughter in Adam's class. Nancy and Steve Schnur, who without them we wouldn't have Julie as our daughter-in-law. Larry and Eleanor Strecker, friends from Las Cruces. I worked with Eleanor for years at the public library, and then we all became friends. Larry was a good advisor on contracts and other things. Our friend Irene Bockelman and Matthew Keller. Irene's husband Larry was a minister at Lowman United Methodist Church. He unfortunately passed away several years ago. Larry's third album is dedicated to him. And his son Matthew, who has traveled to North Carolina to be a grown-up with a job. And Sarah Shapiro, who's a congregant from Topeka, she just graduated with another degree from somewhere. Very talented artist and writer and lover of biology and medicine and all things like that. Rhoda and Jack Wiseman from Topeka. People were never sure if I was Rhoda and she was Rhonda, or if I was Rhonda and she was Rhoda. But in any case, our spouses sorted it out for us, and we all went home with the right people. Our niece Samantha, her husband Rob, and I think maybe our four-legged great-nephew Bones might be there. But Samantha and Rob, it's funny, growing up, we were all separated by a lot of miles, and we always tried in the summer to get the kids together, usually at Larry and Steve's parents'. But now they live like 4 blocks from each other in New York, and it's been wonderful to watch an adult friendship bloom. Karen and Fred Sheckman, we go back a very, 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 very long time. Pesach dinners. You were at our Seder this year via Zoom, and that was wonderful. We also, the Sunday morning brunch after Adam's bar mitzvah was at Karen and Fred's house, and we have wonderful memories of that. If you do these three, if we missed anybody, we are very sorry, but you could say that you're here, and then we'll happily acknowledge you.
Cindy Michelossi from Aurora, Illinois, has been a music colleague for 21 years. And yes, Cindy, it is me again, right here. We've attended Havana Shira and Shabbat Shira in the fall, but we met in 1999, and it's been great to be music colleagues and friends. Larry Lesser, another music colleague from El Paso, the other Larry, or I don't know, maybe I'm the other Larry. I think he's been on tonight. And I do believe Frank Melton and his wife Marcy are here. They live in Los Angeles and in Beverlywood. And Frank I met Frank when we were in 7th grade. I know that he and Art were in B'nai B'rith Youth together. And so another part of our Kansas City equation. But it really has been wonderful to have all parts of our lives represented tonight.
Anybody that we missed, do you want to tell us that you're here? Thank you to those who spoke. You were great. And we hope to live up to everything you said.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for sharing this wonderful simcha with Rabbi and Rhonda Karol. Ordinarily, we would invite you all into our social hall for snacking and schmoozing. And to have you each offer your individual congratulations to Larry and Rhonda, but we can't. So instead, I invite you each in your own time to reach out to them, to offer your congratulations and best wishes, and any suggestions you might have for Larry about what he might do with his time. Now, thank you all.
Thank you, Ned, very much. You were awesome. Only thing missing was the kazoo. Maybe next time. Love you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
And Rhonda, we love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you, Larry and Rhonda.
Thank you, Rabbi Larry and Rhonda. We really appreciate it.
Love you
Best
guys.
wishes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you from us.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Love you, Rhonda and Larry. Love.
Tammy.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Sydney. Wow, look at you.
Good to
Grown.
see
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bye, Karen. Bye, Karen.
Good secret.
How are you, Liz?
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice to meet all you wonderful Las Cruces people.
Larry.
Lovely. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry and Rhonda, we love you so much. We miss you. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
We'll see you again. We'll get to LA.
And thanks to Jeff Lewis for chairing the committee that brought all this together, and to Ned for his emceeing. That's something he loves to do, and he's great at. So thank you.
Larry and Eleanor, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks for inviting us. Take care, guys. Good night, everybody.
Congratulations. Good luck.
I guess who said we can't have a receiving line?
Okay. Hi, Patty. Patty, do you have any challah for us?
I have one in the freezer.
Do you? Can you send it our way? Hi, Judy. And Matthew. Hi, Matthew. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Can we throw candy now?
Yes.
Tovin, mazel tovin, timma tovin, timma tovin, timma tovin, mazel tovin.
Thank you. I don't, other than our wedding, that's never happened to me, so thanks. We're proud of everybody who figured out how to get onto Zoom. And
Well, maybe you hadn't before.
right,
Thank
to
you.
be able to join us all. It's pretty exciting.
Larry, 103 people at one point. Not,
Wow.
Thank you.
not bad.
Nancy Schnurr, are you still there?
No.
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, there she is. Oh,
Oh, I want to know if she learned anything about
okay.
us. Well, anyway, maybe now we'll go and get our champagne.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
It really was wonderful to have everybody from all parts of our lives, and people who are continue to be part of it. And it just shows really what friendship means and what friendship is. Whoever said you don't, it's like you pick up from where we left off. I think Jane Green said that. That's been so true, because how often, Patty, have we seen you? And we did cut when we lived in Boston and you were flying home from Logan.
You met us at the airport.
In to visit with you for
Just
half
to
an
see
hour.
you, right?
And
I know,
your
at the
husband was
airport.
like, why would anyone do that? I think he learned about friends that day too.
Cindy and Tammy, thanks for coming on such short notice. I appreciate it.
You had to.
Oh, Mazel Tov, Larry. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Oh,
I thought this
absolutely.
was beautiful. It was just wonderful. I'm glad I was able to make it. Hi, Rhonda. We've never actually met. It's good to meet you.
I've met you in heart, not in.
And in photos.
Right, yeah. So thank you.
Tammy, they might have a job in the office for you down here, but I know you've got a job up there.
Yeah, the commute might be a little bit hard, but thanks.
Beam me up, Scotty. They haven't figured that out. We've been waiting for that.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling and letting me know, Rabbi. I'm so glad I was able to join. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we wanted to have you.
You were an important part.
Well,
I have
you both
something
are too, to this day, still.
Thanks.
Donna.
Can you hear me? So I didn't know I was asked to speak with him tonight, but you know what I wanted to bring up, Larry?
No.
That I liked you before I liked him. You remember when we went to Debbie Friedman's seminar, and she said,
right.
I want you to sing like elephants. And you
Yeah,
and I yelled out,
right.
Portato. You remember?
Yeah.
He doesn't
Portato.
write anything.
Yeah, that was fun.
And Harry, I guess he left, but we like to say Adam got his talent from his dad, but his spirit from his mom.
There you
So I'm in there somewhere.
Yes, you are.
I do sing a mean minor key, though.
She does.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Just reading in minor keys. So.
All righty, we're going to have our.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay.
Sounds great, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve, for your work and help on this tonight.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Bye. Stuart, thank you. Everybody. Bye-bye.